two men into custody in connection with an assault on a police officer that took place on Saturday, January 13th at 11:40 p.m. in Times Square. In that incident, a uniformed police officer was attempting to stop a vehicle that was being driven in a reckless manner. The operator of the vehicle refused to comply with the officer's direction. The operator of the vehicle intentionally struck the police officer with the vehicle while attempting to escape. The officer was knocked to the ground and he suffered several injuries throughout his body. He was subsequently taken to an area hospital. The operator fled in a black 2012 Mercedes-Benz C63, which you see on television through the video that was put out there. It's a four-door sedan and it had damage to the passenger side. A thorough investigation by detectives assigned to Midtown South Detective Squad, Manhattan South Homicide Squad, and the Auto Crime Division led to the apprehension of two individuals. The men are being processed here at the Midtown South Precinct. At this time, we're confirmed with the District Attorney's Office and charges are pending. I'd just like to take a moment to thank the Midtown South Detective Squad, Detective Matt Forger, he's the case detective right to my left, Lieutenant Jason Schleier, and Sergeant Brian Burns. Manhattan South Homicide, Lieutenant Mike Ciccone on my right, Case Detective Bobby Hahn on my right as well, and Sergeant Joe Latuga. Also, Auto Crime Division played a major part in this. As you saw in the video, very difficult. The license plate, you couldn't make it out from the video that we had. Took a lot of detailed work being done. We had the LMSI that has cameras throughout the Times Square area that we work with. They played an integral role, and as well as Auto Crime trying to identify that vehicle. Any additional information on the on that vehicle, I'm going to ask the public to help us. We have not found that vehicle yet. I believe that we will find it. We have these two individuals upstairs. We still have to speak to them, and we still have other people to speak to, and I'm sure that we're going to find it. Just a note on the regional task force. It's a very difficult job that they do, based on what they did tonight, apprehending these two individuals. If based on the past actions of these two people, they don't just give up. They don't just surrender. They try to escape, and they use a vehicle as a weapon to do so. That's in their history that we looked at. They use whatever means they can to flee that scene. I'll take whatever questions you have at this time. Miles?
Chief, after the initial incident, I understand you guys were able to track them sort of out of Manhattan. Do you know anything about them being on the Verrazano Bridge and sort of like doing a U-turn on the Verrazano Bridge and that kind of like more erratic behavior in that car?
Right. We tracked them. We don't have information that they were on the Verrazano Bridge. We did track them. The Mercedes made a wide right turn on 42nd Street. It went around a truck. It hit into several vehicles as it was attempting to escape. And then from 42nd Street, it heads towards the west side.
Chief Aubrey, you mentioned the past criminal history briefly. The past criminal history of the suspect. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? You said that they have a tendency to flee.
Well, this is in line. So you have Arfi Santos Ogando. He's a 20-year-old. He has 8 priors. He's from the Bronx. We looked at him. He was one of the people that came to our attention right away. And you look at his past. These are men that drive these cars, and as you've seen on the video, they don't just stop for a police officer. The actions that police officer took that night, it's a very, very dangerous job. He sees a car with its tires spinning, possibly going out of control. His instincts took over. No one could have predicted what that driver was going to do. But it took a lot of courage on the part of the police officer to stand there and attempt to stop that car. He saw an opportunity to stop it, and he did just that. He tried to stop it. All this happened within seconds.
Santos is the driver of the vehicle?
Santos is the driver of the vehicle.
Can you talk about the other suspects?
The other individual, William Lopez, he's a 24-year-old, also from the Bronx. He has a history. He did it just last week, Friday, at 2 o'clock in the morning. He was in Upper Manhattan, and he did the same exact thing with the same vehicle on a sidewalk when a police officer saw him, and there were pedestrians out there. He recklessly drove that car on the sidewalk.
And it was that history that allowed you to narrow it down to these two?
In part, that history, along with video and witnesses, led us to these two individuals.
And was Lopez the owner of the car?
Lopez is the owner of the car.
How about any prior arrests?
I can't comment on the prior arrest at this time, I'd rather not, but it's in line with what they've been doing.
But they do have priors.
They do have priors.
Guys, you had two more?
Are they members of a luxury car club?
They are members of a car club, it's in the Bronx, and I'd rather not elaborate too much on that, because there's other, parts of an investigation that we're doing as well.
Can you tell us about the police scene on 144th Street on Harlem? Is that where they were arrested?
That's where the Regional Fugitive Task Force took them into custody, yes.
You guys
Can
good?
you just talk a little bit about the police officer again? You sort of talked about this, but this guy stood in front of a car that was out of control and tried to stop it. He was taking his life in his hands.
I would say he's a brave officer, and his instincts took over. There's a car with its wheels spinning. Could have gone out of control, could have hit people, and he did what he was taught to do. He stepped in harm's way, and he attempted to stop that vehicle. I give him a lot of credit. He's a courageous officer.
Last question. How's the officer doing, and is he back at work?
He's doing fine right now. He hasn't been back to work yet, and my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
Chief,
Marvin, last question?
was there anything in specific that led you to these two for today's arrest?
Yeah, based on their history, based on the video, and based on witnesses.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank
you.
you.